we're diving into one of the most powerful and, honestly, one of the most dangerous tools in user experience, the metaphor. This is the thing that can make or break an entire interface.
At their best, they're kind of a secret weapon. They take all that complex, abstract digital stuff, all that invisible code and logic, and make it instantly understandable. They basically just say, hey, this brand new thing, it's just like that other thing you already get.
And that's the razor's edge we walk as designers, isn't it? A great metaphor is almost invisible. It just speeds up learning and builds confidence. But a bad one, well, it doesn't just fail. It actively hurts the experience. It creates friction and frustration. So yeah, knowing the difference is pretty much everything.
So first up, let's break down why these things even work. Why are they so effective? Well, they act as our cognitive bridge.
Now, the key word here, the one to really focus on, is mapping. A powerful metaphor isn't just a decorative icon or a cute picture. No, it's a deep, functional connection. It's the set of rules that users borrow from something they already know, like a physical folder, to predict how your digital folder is going to behave.
All right, now for the fun part. Let's look at the absolute titans. The metaphors that were so successful, they've basically become the unspoken language of our entire digital world. And we have to start with the foundational metaphor of the modern GUI. By framing the computer screen as a desktop, it gave people a mental model for a totally alien concept at the time, doing office work on a computer.
And this is where its genius really shines. The desktop metaphor works not because it has some wood-grain texture, right? But because it maps the organizational structure of an office. It's all about a system for spatial arrangement. And that focus on function, not form, made it flexible enough to absorb purely digital ideas like aliases or network drives, while giving users a clear path to go from a total novice to a power user.
Next up, we have the near-perfect metaphor that pretty much made e-commerce possible. You know, it's so successful we don't even think of it as a metaphor anymore. It's just a cart.
See, its brilliance is all psychological. It took something that was kind of new and a little scary, buying stuff online, and reframed it as this familiar, low-stakes activity. The cart creates this temporary, safe space where you can gather items, you can change your mind, you can dither, and that massively reduces the cognitive load of actually hitting that final buy button. Okay, so we've seen the good, but for every success story, there's a cautionary tale. These are the metaphors that became cognitive cages, trapping users inside a clever idea that was just fundamentally flawed.
Ah, Microsoft Bob. If you were around in 1995, you might remember this one. This thing turned your entire operating system into a cartoon house. I'm not kidding. You wanted to use your calendar? You had to go find the kitchen. Needed the word processor? Well, you'd have to find the desk in the study.
Bob is the perfect example of taking a metaphor way, way too literally. It failed because it put the cute simulation ahead of the user's actual goal, which was, getting stuff done. Having to navigate a virtual room is always going to be slower than just clicking an icon. This metaphor tax, the extra effort the metaphor itself makes you pay, was just too high, and its patronizing tone left no room for users to ever get more efficient.
And who could possibly forget this guy, Clippy, the little animated paperclip who would pop up totally uninvited to offer help whether you wanted it or not.
Clippy is just a masterclass in getting the social dynamic completely wrong. It was constantly interrupting your workflow, totally breaking your concentration. It suggested a level of intelligence it just didn't have, which only led to frustration. But the biggest sin? It violated a key social contract. We, as users, want a tool that waits for us to use it, not some overeager mascot that assumes we're incompetent from the get-go.
So, okay, we've seen the Hall of Fame, we've seen the Hall of Shame. What's the real difference? What separates the wins from the fails? Well, it really just boils down to 3 key principles.
This is really the heart of it. Successful metaphors are just utilitarian tools. They're focused on the user's task. They're abstract, so they represent a concept cleanly, and they're super smart about constraints. They bring in the useful ones, like a folder can contain things, but they throw out the limiting physical ones, like a folder having a finite size. Failed metaphors? They're ideological. They're distracting simulations that drag in all the real world's messy, annoying limitations for no good reason at all.
All right, let's wrap this up with something you can actually use on your next project. Think of this as a practical toolkit, a 4-part litmus test to make sure you're building a cognitive bridge, not a cognitive cage.
So before you go all in on that shiny new metaphor, ask yourself these questions. 1. Can I explain its value in one simple sentence? If you can't, red flag. 2. What are its digital magic powers? Like, what can it do that the real-world object can't? Like an undo for the trash can. 3. Where does the metaphor stop and the UI begin? Be clear about those boundaries. And 4, and this is a big one, will people even get the reference in 5 years? Or am I tying my entire UI to an obsolete idea? Seriously, running your ideas through this gauntlet can save you from building the next Clippy.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. Our job as designers isn't to perfectly simulate reality on a screen. That is a trap. It's a recipe for failure. Our job is to tell the right lie, to choose the one comparison that reveals a deeper truth about how our product actually works, making it feel intuitive, powerful, and efficient. So the question you should leave with is this: what truth does your metaphor tell?
Like this video and subscribe to Jacob Nielsen's newsletter at UX Tigers to get his newest hot takes every week.